thank you, AMSE, for helping to host this event. I'm really looking forward to it too. We do have one project that I want to tell you about, and that is we're raising money for the Ed Westcott statue. It'll be a full-size bronze statue to have there at our building, and so that's coming up. ORHPA is 260 members strong, and if you're not already a member, we'll be glad to sign you up. Betty Williams is right over here, our membership chair, so we can help make that happen. Now, I want to ask Ray Smith to come up here. Ray is our city historian and really doesn't need an introduction, but I'm going to pass this over to Ray to introduce our speaker.
It is good to see all of you tonight. I'm pleased to introduce Master Storyteller Sheila Arnold, who has come from Virginia to be with us today. She crisscrosses the United States and has been invited overseas to tell her stories that she fills with wisdom and compassion. Miss Sheila was the initial storyteller of Freedom Shares Stories, the International Storytelling Center's National Endowment of Humanities project. She has worked as a historical consultant and has received prestigious fellowships. In fact, she's here as a historical consultant for us this week. Ms. Sheila wrote and then told the story of the Scarboro 85 at the Flatwater Storytelling Festival in 2022. The festival committee commissioned her to conduct research and to interview members of the 85 to prepare her presentation. The Scarboro 85 were the first students to desegregate a public school system in the entire southeastern United States. This event happened in 1955 right here in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. The Scarboro 85 were Oak Ridge kids who experienced something extraordinary. We want to thank the Flatwater Storytelling Festival, a community service project of the Breakfast, Noon, and Sunset Rotary Clubs of Oak Ridge, the Tennessee Arts Commission, CNS Y12, Consolidated Nuclear Security, and Pinnacle Finance Partners for bringing Miss Sheila here today to tell one of Oak Ridge's most important stories. Please help me welcome Miss Sheila.
Y'all can't see yourselves from up here, but I can. So for just a moment, I want you to look around. I want you to turn your head, turn your body around. I want you to look who's in this room. Just check it out. Don't laugh at the funny people. Funny people. The reason I asked you to do it, the reason I asked you to just look for just a moment, and to make sure that camera, if it can get a little bit of that, if it's possible, is because if I was not going to tell this story, we could not be together in this place. It is because of the first that desegregated that opened the doors for us to be sitting beside each other. Someone had to be the first to do that. That is why we honor. It's why we remember. It's why we even take a moment to feel uncomfortable with the memories that will be shared. Because it should feel a bit uncomfortable when the past is looked at through truthful eyes. And it should move us to do something else. Look what it has moved us to do so far. We got a lot more to do. And that's a good thing, ain't it? Should I tell you a story?
Yeah.
I'm trying to change this. Once upon a time. And isn't that a great way to start a story? Once upon a time, there was a king. And the king was a king of a great nation. He was a powerful king. But he wanted to be able, he thought in his head, he wanted to be able to be greater whenever he wanted to build things that would help him to be stronger and more powerful. So he called his leaders together, and he told them this plan. He said, I want to be able to create more powerful things. When I want more power, I want to be able to use it. But I want it done secretly. Can you leaders, can you create a secret city? The leaders thought, well, yeah, we like that idea too, more power. And so they said, yes, we can create a secret city. And so they began strategizing and working, modeling all the things that they would do. But they knew after a while they needed help. They needed help to build the city, to physically build the city. But they didn't want to take more people like them. They wanted to bring in people that they felt were inferior to them. People they felt they were better than, to do the menial work that was around and the difficult work of building. And so they brought the people in. And the people built and they were strong. But then the leaders were like, we don't really want them around us. We need to build them their own city. Build them a city where their heartbeat and their blood does not beat with our heartbeat and blood. A secret city. And so it was that the king was pleased. He had a secret city. And so it was that the leaders were pleased that they too had a secret city. But some secrets are not to be kept. Some secrets are meant to be shown in the light of day. And so it is. Well, when I started here in this project, I just looked at it. It was August of 2020. I was invited to come to the Flatwater Storytelling Festival, which this year will be on June 7th and 8th, 2024. If you feel the need to take out your phone and put that in there now, so you will not forget, you may do so and I will not be discouraged. June 7th and 8th, 2024, right? Okay. And I was invited by Emily Jernigan as part of the Rotary Clubs, all working together for this to come in 2020. And it wasn't long after before the vice chair of the festival, Charles Crow in the back, and I'm going to drop names today on purpose. This is a way I can say thank you to them in my own way. And he contacted me and said, well, look, we have a story here. A desegregation story. And I know you did a desegregation story, Sheila, over in Johnson City, Tennessee. And they didn't film it, so it's not, they can't access it. We're going to film it if you'll come and do that. I said, well, okay, but it's going to take some research. I'm going to need to come and do this. Oh, we're going to do it. And Pinnacle Bank dropped in and said, we'll commission this. We'll help her to be able to do this. So I began to do that work. The first time I came, I did some research while I was at McDowell, which is McDowell is a place where artists can go and do residencies. They can kind of get ready for programs. And I was there for a month. It's a kind of in the world of artists, it's a prestigious thing. So I was prestigious for a whole month. They fed me breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and paid me not a dime. But anyhow, I had time to work, and one of the things I worked on was this particular project, doing some of the work and doing some of the email, doing some of the online work, trying to find out what I could. And a big part of that time was learning a little bit about the military and its desegregation process, and why the military bases were, why they were being changed at this time. So I did some work on that. Now, you're going to say, well, Sheila, I heard you earlier today, or I heard you yesterday, or I heard you 2 days ago, because Sue has been walking me around, and this presentation already already don't sound like the other ones. Well, this is an organization that is sponsoring this as well, that is into looking at history and preservation. So I said I would give a little bit more about the how. So you're getting a little behind the scenes. Don't worry, you'll get a story too. And I should already be telling one, so it's okay. All right. So I went there and I started looking. I looked a lot at, the desegregation of the military at that time and what was happening. And I was kind of astonished at things that happened, that the military had been told, after 1954, they were told, you have to desegregate this upcoming year, the next year that's available. And that was to happen everywhere. And they weren't like, oh, it only happens in California. No, they were like, we meant everywhere where we have a base, and that included places like Alabama. It included places like other places that were down south. And Alabama stuck out as one of the stories, because in Alabama, they told them to integrate, and they said, we're not doing that. And they said, we will shut you down. And they're like, but where will the kids go? And I think they're like, so you will integrate. And it was a furious battle in one of the bases down there. Here, it was federally, I'm not certain you're getting everything. You want to help me put it in the right spot? Okay. He's going to help me. The sound man will turn me on.
We shall work on our eyes.
All right, it's going to crank me up a little bit too. All I need is to be turned on and cranked up. I am so sorry that it's on film somewhere. It's late. I've been doing this 7 times. I got 2 more to do tomorrow. So can y'all bear with me as we go along here? Okay, we're good. Where was I?
Alabama.
Alabama, thank you so much. So, and so here, the Atomic Energy Commission was completely federally funded. It's not a military base, but it was completely federally funded. Therefore, it had to follow the law of the land. And that's why desegregation was required. It was not. Nice, good people said, we should desegregate. No. It was the law of the land. And that's important to know where to begin. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. And we had African Americans had overcome 1954. Woo! It was a good year. Yes, it was. We got this whole ruling come down from the Supreme Court, and it said that there was no longer to be separate but equal. You were to desegregate the schools. We had overcome. Equality was on its way. Not so fast. First, I got to talk about 2 things. 2 words. Important words. Now, some of you have been following me around, so if you don't know these words by now, I can't help you out. But others of you may still be new to. So, 2 words are integration and desegregation. The schools were to be desegregated. Integration is this. This is a whole section here. We're going to take all the rest of the room. That's another section. So in this section, we'll take some of the people here and put them there. And some of the people here and put them there. That's integration. Desegregation is we're getting rid of everything on this side of the room. There will be no chairs. There will be no this side of the room. You will have to go there. That is desegregation. That's removing what someone had and not attempting to find a way to come together. That's desegregation. Desegregation was what was said that needed to be done. They use the word integration at times, but that is not how it happened. And so desegregation was what was to happen, to take away from what had already been there. And what had already been there? Well, this was the secret city. And when I came here in 1921, Lord have mercy. I should have slept a little bit more, or not at all. 2021, when I came here, I went with Charles Crow and Ray Smith, and that's when we first met. And we went over to the Oak Ridge Museum, a great place to go, a wonderful place. And and Ray loves the picture that's right in there, from one side to the other, and it's a panoramic view all around, and it's an aerial view of Oak Ridge. And so he was showing me that, and both Charles and Ray said, and Sheila, Gamble is kind of over here, and he meant what was behind, what was there. And I looked, and there was nothing there. There were trees. And I said, where is it again? It's like, it's there. Well, he said that's the African Americans were in Gamble Valley. They were in that area. In that area that eventually was called Scarboro, in that area. And I said, well, that's purposeful. That's intentional. That's planned. Yes. To not see behind the trees. To have the trees block a community, literally, to make them invisible. That was planned. In the 50s and before, you could be a person living in Oak Ridge, you could be a white person living in Oak Ridge and never have to meet or interact with an African American person. I know you cannot imagine that now. But in that time, you could live your entire life in Oak Ridge and not meet or interact with an African American person. If you were African American, you did not have that choice. You had to go out from the trees. Your work was beyond those trees. You had no choices. But Scarboro, the community of Scarboro, the African American community, it was a thriving community. It had good things. I was looking over my notes that I had, because when I got here, Charles Crow had set up an entire day. I looked at my notes and he had me in meetings all day long on September 28, 2021. I just want to let you know what date that was. So he had me in meetings all day long with people. And I started hearing more and more about what was a part of Scarboro. And I read something, I wanted to make sure I said this, because I was like, oh, I've forgotten that. And let me see if it will come back. See, this is what you do. You start talking and you keep talking until somebody figures out, where did you put that? I don't know. Okay, it went away. But there was a skating rink. There was a pool hall. There was barbershops and there were barbershops and there were beauty shops. And where Scarboro Community Center, where the parking lot is where those shops and things were.
The block.
Huh?
The block.
They called it the block?
Yes.
Woo! Thank you very much. Go add that to it. And this has been happening. I want to tell you all, you've made me so happy that you trust me enough to correct me and help me. And I'm grateful. No, I am grateful for that. As a historian, I want to be right. And that you all have, so many of you have come and said, this little tweak here, this little tweak there, or oh, this, that has been beautiful to my ears. Thank you. I want to be your ambassador. I want to do it right. Miss Margaret had a store there. Oh, see, I'm getting it right. And so children can do floor. Floor is cool if they're going to do floor. And then there's a chair here and a chair there. So that's good. But floor, if they want to be able to see, they can come up here and do floor. That's fine. And more people, wow. I'm just overwhelmed. I'll just stop for just a moment, let people get a spot. There's a chair up here. Okay. All right. Yeah, you can go ahead and come on in if you want to. That'd be good. In the depth of my soul. Can we bring this young lady a chair that she can sit on? That would be great. They're bringing one to you, and you're going to stay. They're still going to bring it to you, and you're still going to sit. But that's okay. We got it. This is awesome. Y'all putting a little pressure on me, okay?
I'm sorry.
No, it's good pressure. It's good pressure. You're so sweet. Oh my God. So it was a thriving community. So a community of people that were close-knit and knew each other. And the school was an important part of that community. Yesterday I was informed that the students helped to name the school, Scarboro School, and the area named the school Scarboro School. And the school was L-shaped. So on the long L, it was first grade to 8th grade. And then at the hill of the L, that's where the administration office were. And the short part of the L, that was the high school. But the high school didn't even come until 1950. And when it came, it was the first it was the first to be able to have its own in this community, a high school in this community. It was so beloved. It meant that the students here did not have to get over to the bus terminal by 7 o'clock in the morning and take the bus all the way to Knoxville to go to Austin Colored School. They could go to school here. How beautiful. But we had overcome. So in 1955, January 12th, 1955, it was reported in the Oak Ridger, is that right, Ridger? Is that
Yes.
right? The Oak Ridger, it reported that it had been decided that Scarboro High School and those that would be the grades to go to junior high school, that those schools that it would not be in Scarboro anymore. And they were going to be required to desegregate, to go to Oak Ridge High School and go to Robertsville Junior High School, 6th grade to 12th grade. They had their own teachers. They had their own traditions. They had their own place and community. But they were told no more. And the attitude given to it is, we're bringing you to something better. With no consideration that the better might be in things that they could have always given, but they could not replace the teachers, the heart, the community. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid this day. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we are not afraid this day. The boy got up early to go to school on September 6, 1955. He got up early usually. He made his way outside and down to the bus stop where he would catch the school bus, which was a city bus. He felt in his pockets and made sure that his coins were there. You see, his family made enough money where he had to pay to get on the city bus. The school bus that day, and that was different because he used to just be able to walk to school. He met his best friend, and they often met together, but on this day there was no laughing, no joking, no run down to Miss Margaret's to get something, make sure I can catch the bus, hold it up. Not this day. This day they were quiet. See, on this day, the boy who was 14 would go to 9th grade at Oak Ridge High School, and his best friend would go to Robertsville Junior High School for 8th grade. Some students were quiet. Some students talked amongst themselves. They knew other students that were there in the school. They weren't so worried. Others had met some of the white students that had come from the journalism class over at Oak Ridge High School at the year before and had said hello and introduced themselves and tried to write and make a welcoming for the students. And some students were really scared. They were 11, 12. What they were supposed to be doing was going from 5th grade to 6th grade with the teachers they knew. But here they were at the bus stop, some of them with coins in their pockets, riding the city bus for the first time without their parents. When the bus came, they got aboard and the bus became quiet. And they went down Wilberforce and past that fire station down to Tuskegee. And that boy thought about Tuskegee. Maybe he was like those Tuskegee airmen in World War II. Maybe he too was going to fly where he was. Maybe he was going to fight like they did for liberty and freedom. But he didn't feel much like that. He remembered the words that his parents had said so many times before that still sat inside of him. Lessons he had learned from parents the parents who were African American that came from Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, and Tennessee. Whereas whites that were working here in this area came from all over the nation. They ensured that African Americans came from specific places that understood specific laws. And so he remembered the words that he had grown up with. Keep your eyes down. Don't look at white people in the eyes. Stay to the side. Do not bump anyone. Be careful around corners. Be careful as you're walking. Be safe. Do better than others do. Much better. So they will recognize and know who you are. So you're going to have to do better to be recognized. And be safe. Be safe. And so they came into the front of the building, and in the front of the building there were students that were waiting for them at Oak Ridge High School. The white students were outside waiting for them to help them get to their classes, and he should have felt at that moment welcome. But he did not. He should have felt safe, but he did not. Because you see, 10 days before that boy of 14 years old in Oak Ridge was to enter Oak Ridge, Tennessee, Oak Ridge High School. 10 days before that, the body of a Mississippi African-American boy, Emmett Till, floated to the top of the water. The body was in a fan they had put so they could hope it would stay down, but it did not. And when they found his body, he was beaten to the point where you could not recognize his face. One of his eyes taken out. Had not his mother recognized a birthmark on him, he would not have been identifiable. And supposedly he had done something wrong. Did he? May he have whistled at a woman? May he have said a word back or just spoke back? There was no certainty of what happened, but someone had felt he had offended. And here he was, 10 days later, walking into a place where he knew people did not want him, and he did not want to offend. And so the boy went to class. He saw the number that he was in, and he walked into his class, and he greeted the teacher properly, and the teacher pointed to a seat in the back, told him to sit down. Oh, not told him. Pointed to a seat in the back, and he went and sat down. And he wondered, would that be the way it was every day? And every student had a different experience there. Every student did. Some were quiet and walked through and were very careful. They navigated their way around if they thought there was a little trouble. Some even went outside and outside the entire school building to walk around it to get to the next class, to not bump into somebody or have any problems. Some students joined many things. They joined the student council. They were part of the National Honor Society. They joined the basketball teams. They could play, well, not play. They could practice really hard so they couldn't play. I know that doesn't make sense, does it? No. So let me explain that to you. You want me to explain it to you? It's okay. This is how it goes. All right. So what you do is you practice every day. Every day you practice. You got that? And then you're supposed to play. But you get a phone call. And they say, the other school won't let any black students play at our school, at their school, so you can't come. And the phone hangs up. That is pretty awful. I agree. Thank you for listening. All right, now. That's what practicing but not playing look like. And when finally did happen that one got to play in the game for a short bit of time, it was so big, the New York Times picked it up. It didn't. It was hard. And some students had friends before they even came there that were white students, other white students, and some of them they had created friendships for life. Some students did. And some students stayed a couple of months and they had to leave. Everybody's experience was different. But it was an experience not to be forgotten. No matter to be forgotten. Now the boy knew that if he had real trouble, he could go to the principal, to an ally. But I'm going to stop there. Everybody, I'm moving the story over here. Stay there. Okay. I got some of that story that you just heard. Aren't you curious? Say yes. Yes. It didn't matter if you were or not. I was going to tell you the story. So that part of the story came from interviews. And a good portion of that story came from L.C. Gibson, and who is here with us today, one of the Scarboro 85. Yes, raise your hand. And is there anyone else from the Scarboro 85 here today? I don't know if Emma's here or if anyone else is. Gene Hawkins' wife is here. And that's always lovely. Okay. Who?
I'm not, but I'm here for my mom.
And who's your mom?
Stella Brantley.
Amen. Amen. That's I need to make sure I know you. Make sure I get your information before you go to play. So I had a chance to interview them on that very long day that Charles Crow gave me. And I have been informed, and I'm going to tease LC a little bit on this. I had interviewed that morning, it was really funny because I was looking at this, and you all are really getting the behind the scenes on this one. So the first person I interviewed that day was Charles. That's good. All right. Then I interviewed Rose Weaver. Rose, please stand. Rose is one of the ones that helped put it together. She sat down with me. She had so much information. Things I've learned from you are just amazing. Thank you. And she continues to share about this. And then I sat down, or I talked to on the phone, Gene Hawkins. And Gene was a wonderful, we had fun talking to each other. Then I sat down with Ray Smith, and we talked for a little bit. And then I sat down with Pat Postma, whose father was the principal at that time, Principal Dunnigan. And amazing. And from Rose and Pat, I got notebooks of stuff. Gotta look through all this stuff. It was great. And then I met with Mike Stello at the library. Oh, wow. He was so excited he couldn't wait. He's like, "Oh, you're here. I put a few boxes aside." My phone was filled with pictures of all the stuff he had. I have this folder here, and then on my phone, tons of things from that. And then Larry Gibson. Now here's the deal. I'd already been warned by Charles. Larry's not going to let anybody in. He's not being interviewed by people. Yeah, he's not doing that. All right, I'm good. But maybe we can do dinner. That's fine with me. You know, I'm fine. I didn't have to pay for dinner. I was good. So we're at Doubletree Hotel, and we're talking, just having dinner. We're having dinner. We're having a good time. About halfway through, he goes, "Well, when are you going to interview me?" I was like, okay, And I'm going to share, you're going to be one of the few that get to hear this part of my story about LC. And I listened to him as he shared. He shared these various things. Now, the whole part of the story of the boy is not just about him. It incorporates lots of people's parts. But there was one part that touched my heart beyond anything. It's when I saw a man in his 80s feel the pain of a teenage 14-year-old in front of my eyes. And when he said it was 10 days after Emmett Till, and his eyes welled up, and his words were filled with pain. And I took his hand, and I said, "Tell that 14-year-old boy, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. And I will tell your story." I've been honored to watch you all since that time remember and honor those who had been forgotten. And you have helped heal people's hearts in the process. Truth heals. Forgetting harms when we're in our truth state. And I love that interview, and I love that part of the story. You made my story come together, and every other person I interviewed helped that story to grow. May I bring the story back now?
Yeah.
The reality was that if he had been in any trouble, there was a principal delegate in town. And the truth was, he was like a sheriff. And there wasn't going to be any trouble in his town, that's for sure. He was going to ensure that everything was taken care of. And if you had any problems, he'd make sure you knew about it. When the students came in and saw on the plate glass window, "Welcome inward," he brought all the students into the auditorium and told them, "That will never happen again." And it never did. He could tell them if there was trouble, it could affect their parents and their work. He knew that what was happening in his school was right and good. It was right and good, and he believed in it. And he told his daughters, and he told his wife that it was right and good, and he would make sure no harm came to his children. And that meant he took on the African American children. One person said to me, yes, his name is Elsie. One person said to me, he did not just stay in his office. He was around. And so he was. But that meant if you were a sheriff who was messing with folk don't like that. So they made phone calls to his house filled with anger, negativity, and threats. Cross on his yard. But he did not stop doing what was right and good. And he tried to prevent as much harm as possible. It did not mean he prevented everything. He couldn't stop the young men, the high school students that stuffed a young African-American man, that's not Elsie, African-American man, into a locker every day in the afternoon. Because that young man didn't say anything, and no one else did either. But he was a good sheriff. But the thing was, they were prepared for this. As prepared as they could be. They didn't walk into these schools with nothing. They walked into the school with the presence behind them of Arizona officer who was their principal, and with their teachers, with what they gave behind them. Their teachers demanded respect and excellence, and let them dream. They were good teachers. They were good. She was a great principal. She even brought in the Congress of Racial Equality Corps to help train about how not to respond. Because responding could mean a whole lot more than just getting kicked out of school. She was a good teacher. Her glasses on and her hair high up and her thin lips she had. Miss Officer, she was beloved in the community. A woman of an advanced degree, as were most of the teachers at Scarboro School with advanced degrees, indeed. She knew her kids, her students. She would visit their houses and families. And I'm certain sometimes that was good. And sometimes that was not. But she was a part of that community. She asked her teachers to do the same. They knew that. In the community, if you go through Scarborough, you see it. If I said this already, I apologize. But you will see the street signs. And they're named. Every street is named after a historically black college and university. Wilberforce, which I just mentioned. Hampton, after my own Hampton University, but not my own. I live in Hampton. And so my father went to Hampton Institute, Hampton University. You can even, and Carver, which is not a school, but named after George Washington Carver from Tuskegee Institute. Tuskegee, the roads, they were meant to inspire even walking down the street how much education meant. And they're still there today. Still there today. She helped her students experience things that they hadn't experienced before. Took them on field trips. The places, they went to go see Carmen. That's why I read one of those things. I don't know who showed that to me. But they went to go see the play Carmen when it had Dorothy Dandridge in it. If you don't know who Dorothy Dandridge is, my father would say, You're just going to have to go home and look her up later, all right? She was a all right? And so, but she was in Carmen, and she found places and things for students to see the world there. So they didn't come to this desegregation with no preparation. They came with the solidness of a community that would be there to fall back on. And they survived it. They survived it. And the end of the year came. And, well, there was going to be some graduates that were African American now. And well, we're at the end of the year. The black and white students made it through. End of the year. You know what comes at the end of the year, right? The prom. Any of y'all remember your prom? There's a lot of white hair in here, so I don't know if you remember your prom. It's okay. You can have white hair when you're prom. But you remember, if you can, just remember how much fun you had getting dressed for the prom, finally going with the right guy, and how it was wonderful. You just wanted to go to the prom. And this, in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, was going to have the first integrated prom in the whole Southeast. It was so big that the New York Times wrote about it. Negro pupils at dance. 4 Oak Ridge couples attend first integrated party. 4 Negro couples appeared last night for Oak Ridge High School's first racially integrated junior-senior prom. White pupils generally remained aloof and afterward went to a private party at an Oak Ridge hotel. 15 Negroes were eligible to attend the dance. As the first couple arrived and sat at a table, white students walked away quietly. Otherwise, there were no incidents. You see, it was there at that dance. They learned, the students did. They've gone through this whole year. They talked to people. They had at times been invited to do things or go places and been a part of clubs. And yet at the end of the year, they learned that they had been tolerated, not accepted. Tolerated, not accepted. It's all right. And then the year was done. It was done. And it was, it was the next year. And desegregation continued, and it was the next year. And then we got to, we had other parts of the country that started doing things. There was not a whole lot written up again about Oak Ridge and this quiet desegregation that had happened. But when it was over at LittleRock in 1957, and the violence and the anger there, that was big news. And then when it was in Clinton, and it was in 1958, that was big news. Just a side note, and also ironic, because the students were split in half after Clinton, and half of them had to come to Oak Ridge, which was desegregated. So I just thought I'd say that. But they got written up. And that helped the narrative of Oak Ridge to change to, well, at least we never had any violence. Let's see how well we did. We did good. We didn't have violence where we were. We desegregated without. Yes, we are good. We have no violence whatsoever. All is well. And they forgot. Forgot that Scarboro had its own school. Forgot that there were those that had the challenge to walk into a new place and be scared. Until one day, there was a meeting of some sort, I don't know what it was. And at this meeting, someone happened to say out loud, the Clinton 12 was the first desegregation in the Southeast. And someone who happened to be in this room said, that is not the truth. We were the first. I'm not calling them out anymore today. And so it began. A great movement. Rose Weaver, John Spratling, getting the interviews and putting the information together, making sure it was on the wall of Scarboro Community Center. If you want to understand and learn more about the African American community here in Oak Ridge, go to Scarboro Community Center. They want you to come in and go see that wall of fame that is there and learn people that you haven't met in the books and the people around here. Go there. And so they began to ask the city more and more for a specific kind of memorial, that they wanted a memorial for the Scarboro 85. And let me tell you, there was great controversy about what to use as a name. Some folks wanted to call it, it's the Oak Ridge 85. But it was the students that said, we want to honor the school that we were a part of. We don't want that forgotten. What about the Tennessee? No. We want to honor our school that we had, our community that exists, not existed. We want to be called the Scarboro 85. And so when I was sat down by various folk, and I was sat down, that was a good thing. They said, make sure, Sheila, we're known as Scarboro 85. I said, I'll do that. And I did that in every email. Somebody wrote something different. I said, I will be referring to this as the Scarboro 85 from here on out and expect it to be on everything that we do. Because I was honoring the memory of what they had. And so we began a process of coming alive. One of the Scarboro 85 almas said to me 2 days ago, she said, it was like we were dead. It's like we had died. That what we had done was dead. And then you came. He made alive. And I did not make this alive on my own. Yes, I'm a storyteller. And yes, I can craft good stories that I hope you like to hear. But it is those along the way who did this hard work that made it possible for me to give you this story. And it is you who have come out to hear the story. And you who have told a friend or heard from a friend and you've told another friend until we are hearing and we're passing the story along. And we want to build this memorial, this monument to them. We hope that it will be over near the Peace Bell. For would it not be a wonderful thing for Oak Ridge to be known for peace and reconciliation? Because reconciliation cannot happen without truth. And so, it has been good to watch this grow. But what can you do now? I'm hoping you're asking yourself that question.
Yeah.
If you're not, then I'll tell you. What you can do is help support the monument. Scarboro 85 Monument, right? It's monument, right?
Yes.
Scarboro85monument.com. We still need funds to make that happen. You know some places to get grants and things? Yes. Let's make that happen in the lifetime where we have someone from the Scarboro 85 still alive to see it. Can we do that?
I'm into hell.
Huh?
I'm in.
Amen. Well, you make sure. I mean, if you're not certain about something, there's Rose, there's Ray, there's John. There are a whole slew of folk around here who are willing to take their help and share the story. So many people have come up to me and say, I just didn't know. I just didn't see another side. And that's the truth. And it's okay to be uncomfortable and to be difficult to say that, but it's good conversation we need to have. So we can find the places in the community that we're still missing sometimes, and how we can grow this better. A joy is that as of last week, that because of such incredible hard work done by Ray and by others who were, John and others, there has been the Tennessee Department of Education for Tennessee Department of Education has made the Scarboro 85 story a part of the 5th grade curriculum for all of Tennessee. Will hear this story, and all of Tennessee has the opportunity to learn. They have the opportunity to learn a very important thing. There was not violence here, but there was great harm. There was great harm. We must acknowledge that. We must find ways to repair the harm. And recognize that we can begin to make a community that again that tries its best to do no harm. We can learn that sometimes we can be in a community and have blinders on and not know things. And we can open our eyes to see a larger community. You can open your eyes and hearts and go visit in Scarboro and enjoy all the things that happen in Scarboro as well, right here in the bigger part of Oak Ridge. The Fisk Singers, Jubilee Singers are coming in on March 29th. Man, I wish I was here for that. Come on and do that. And then talk to your children, talk to your friends, learn the names. And most of all, but not most of all, and please give to the monument so it can happen. Well, that's my story. Long ago. We shall not forget. We shall not forget. We shall not forget this day. Oh, Scarborough 85 will